My name is Marcus, and I have a wife and I have a girlfriend. And I went to see Coach Greg. Of course, I was seeing specialists, psychologists, and it wasn't helping me at all. So I came in there and I told my wife where I was going. She said, I'll meet you there. And she was in for a bit of surprise because I brought my girlfriend with me. I just went with her instead of my wife. But when I went in the room, even though I could tell my wife was hurting, I sat next to my wife. Coach Gray said, what's going on? You have two women that you brought here. And what do you think is going to happen here? What is it you want? But I love my wife and I want to fix my marriage. But I love my girlfriend too. And I would like to have where I could be 100% with both of them. And maybe we can live together. I know this ain't like, a state where they allow polygamy, but I'd like to have like a relationship where I wouldn't be cheating. I would just have them too. I don't want to change my faith and whatnot. But if it's possible to have a monogamous relationship with the two of them, that's what I'm looking for. But I don't think I could get either or more. And I was hoping that you could help me get these women on board. And so if you wanted to hear the whole story and then get from what they want, but this is what I want. My name is Marcus.
Hello everybody, this is Greg Stewart and welcome to Greg Stewart Show. Let's talk about this man who thinks it's okay to have two lives and to have them feel the same way, that this is okay and that I will be monogamous to you. You heard the intro. So some stories don't start with a scream, even though this one may make you scream a lot. They start with a choice. You have small choices, quiet choices, but the kind of choice that just seems harmless, at least to Marcus. And then until you realize it was the first crack in someone's life when they were trying to keep from falling apart. In this case, Marcus. Marcus is a man who believed he could live two lives without either one collapsing. He tried it for the longest of times. He really didn't say anything when he would leave the house. He would just go. And when a person loves you so much, they sometimes put themselves second, third, or fourth. Now, the girlfriend didn't know, but the wife had her ideas. And then she would just live with it because it was better than not having them at all. So that would give you the thought pattern that you can have your cake and eat it too. So the thing about double lives is this: they always end the same way. Not with a confession, but with a moment where the truth slips out on its own. And once you hear what happened in that room, once you hear what happened when I met with him, the way he sat, the way he spoke about the situation, the air around him changed. You'll understand in a moment as the audience, as you listen in, because this is not funny, but it is terrifying because it is real. So Marcus came into my room with Riley, the woman that he'd been seeing for 2 years. But when he stepped in the room, he didn't sit next to the girl that he brought, which was Riley. You see, Elena was already there. He told her, I'm going to meet my coach. Therapists have not worked for me. I feel a connection. And I was grateful to see that I could hopefully help this person. But he sat next to his wife, even though he came with Riley. And at that moment he did this, something subtle happened. There was a shift. There there was a tightening that was left in the room, and I was just observing this. Now you can imagine that moment, can't you? The way a single decision is done by a single movement, and this can reveal more truth than 1,000 explanations. So I spoke to Marcus and I said, you arrived here with Riley, but you chose to sit with your wife. He said, yeah, well, Elena is my wife. I love her. I'm here because I want to fix this marriage. And Riley, I said, oh, I love her too. And I looked and I said, two loves and two lives. One man who thinks he can hold both until the weight starts pulling you both apart, that is. Marcus, tell me a little bit of something. Because you really believe you're not juggling these two women. But yet you live separately with one and then the other. You said you didn't plan this and you fell in love with both. But people rarely plan their truth, but they do plan their story, and that's what I'm hearing here. That's why I have a hard time believing you love both of these women, because you planned the story and how you want to get around this. Now, maybe as a coach, you didn't want to hear this or didn't expect this. That's why you said you didn't connect well with the other psychologist or therapist. But when someone says, I didn't plan for this to happen, what they often mean, Marcus, is I didn't plan to be confronted. Now, Marcus wasn't confused. He curated this story. He crafted two versions of himself to both women. He said to his wife, I'm the wounded husband. And to the girlfriend who he sat across from, I'm a misunderstood soulmate. So right there, you're playing two roles, I said. You have two different audience and one performance, but your performance always cracks, Marcus, under pressure, doesn't it? And then Elena spoke. Marcus, did you give me two infections? Because I didn't get them from myself. So now there's an idea of a disorder, a disease spread. And Marcus yelled, no, very defensive. Elena cheated, is what he claimed. She must have gotten them from someone else. So now he's turning the tables. He turns the tables, and the two women are just staring at each other, not because of the accusation, but because of the speed of his denial. How quickly he came across defensively. I said, sometimes, Marcus, I have to tell you, when someone answers too quickly, that sharply, it seems rehearsed. I can feel the truth hiding somewhere behind those words, like a shadow that moves before the light, my friend. And Marcus, he just looked away, probably like he did with her, because he didn't like what he was hearing. But we were all staring back at him. Marcus said, I don't know what you all think is so funny about this. Nobody's laughing. Maybe the smirks are confusion. But he said, this is my life. Not because I want it to be this way, but all of you made me into who I am. Because this situation was so absurd that you made me painful. All of this, including you, coach, thought you were on my side. I said, well, you have this feeling and you see this whole situation is unbelievable. And that's why we're all staring. Because we're wondering what you're going to say next. We're not laughing at your pain. I believe there is something there that created this person to believe that they can have this lifestyle, but it's a story that you made. A story that doesn't live in someone's reality. And how you want two women to live monogamously, but one is already claiming she's got a disease, and then you blame her for cheating. Riley then speaks up and she says, he told me he was separated. And coming here to meet you, this was part of it. He told me Elena didn't care about him anymore. He told me he was free. Now, why I came here, I had no idea what was going to happen. And there it is, Marcus. You've written a script just for her. You know, Marcus, These lies have malice, and you lie with convenience, and you lie to maintain a version of yourself so you could enjoy the most. Now, to Riley, you made yourself a romantic hero. To Elena, you were looking for her to do what you say because she needed to repent. When I hear this is the most dangerous kind of lie. The one a person tells themselves so they can commit adultery, such as what you're doing. Elena, what do you want? I'm committed to my marriage, even if it doesn't look like it. When I said my vows, I meant them. Well, as you look at Riley over there, what do you have to say? Well, if you knew we were trying to fix things, why didn't you back away, Riley? Is what she said to me and to us. Riley said out loud, because he told me you were done. He told me you didn't want him, and he told me he was free. I already said this. I said to stop before it gets hectic, because there's two of you here, two different stories. But rather than you getting angry with each other, Marcus is the man who wrote both of them. Suddenly they weren't fighting each other at this point because I said the truth. They were seeing the same script from two different angles. Now, Marcus, you're not torn. And I know you came here as a coach thinking I could coach you through and be on your side. But a coach who's a good coach, who's a great coach, does things out of honesty to unravel a problem so we can have clarity. And you're not torn in this situation, Marcus, and you're not confused. You're not a victim of circumstance, and you're a man who enjoys the attention of these two women and doesn't want to lose either. Marcus says, yelling back to me, that's not true. It is true, I told him, though. I want you to feel that it is true. Because why else would this reality be collapsing on you right now if you didn't create these stories? And maybe, just maybe, Marcus, as you hear this, you can notice the pattern that we're noticing. No responsibility, the rise, the destruction of two women, the fall, the tension, the release, the way truth pulls you in and pushes you back again and again. Can you see it now? Can you see it, Marcus? See, you came here today believing you could defend yourself and have two lives, and then you said, I want them both, thinking that, oh, I'm in the man's club, I'll go along with it. But what was revealed was that you truly shouldn't belong to either. And I think today Elena and Riley see the truth, and they nodded their head yes in approval. And maybe as you sit here listening, you can feel that truth settling in your mind, and a reminder that people don't break your heart. They break the versions of themselves that you believed in because you lived in an illusion thinking you can control these two to live the way you want to. I know this is your story, Marcus, whether you want to hear it or not, but this is what a good coach does. So that's all we have time for today. But I hope that this gives you clarity, because that's the belief I believe you came here for. Marcus walked storming out. Two women, they walked out separately, but first together. And they said, we both thank you for clearing our eyes, because we were living a lie, a belief that Marcus led us to believe. And now we know differently. And here's the thing, I said, if this is what he felt he can get away with you, what makes you feel and think he's going to change? Because he really believes that this is okay, that you should live, the three of you, monogamously. Like he believed you coming in here, that yes, there would be admittance. He sat next to his actual wife, but that we can live in one home as a solid, as a relationship of three. And what happens next? If you said yes to that 4 or 5, now this is your decision. I don't know where you're going from here. All I know is that I was here to bring you clarity as a coach. And they said, no, we're pretty clear now, and we're thankful. Aren't we, Riley? Riley said yes. Elena agreed. And they went their separate ways. And this is Marcus's story. A man who lived in an illusion or a delusion, however you want to call it, but tried to make it a reality. So this is the Greg Stewart Show, and we're going to break this down for you in reference to what kind of personality traits make this a reality. Now, sad story, really for all three, even though it's hard to see things from Marcus' point of view, and I get that. But where does this learn? Is this learned behavior, or is there something that develops because you're put on a pedestal, you are trained a certain way, or you're the best, and as you're a little child, you're the best. Nothing is better than you. You could have whatever you want. I don't know what the groundwork is, but I can tell you in the now. And the now work is narcissistic entitlement. I should have, I deserve. And when you repeat this, it's kind of like, again, a coach of a team. When you have a player, you're a star player, you're the best, and you tend to interpret that and encamp that and make affirmations. And those affirmations, you say something enough to yourself and you do have some skill set, and then people take a liking to you, admire you, you tend to believe that fantasy-based thinking. You tend to believe this, and then you say, all right, if it works with her, it could work with this one. Okay, I proved that theory. I've done this since junior high, high school, college, what have you, jobs. It's working. And now as I've become a little older, I have these two amazing women, and I told one that I am married, but my relationship at home is the pits. Told my wife, you need to be more of what I want. I know you have needs, but I have to come first. And you start to compartmentalize what you want to believe in reference to that emotional fantasy. And that's exactly what was happening here. And then you have the hypnosis that we put ourselves into, at least Marcus in this case. And what he does is, how come he doesn't hurt? How come he doesn't feel? How come he still believes he can have this? We're in hypnosis, by the way, every day. You take the same way to go to work and you don't break that pattern. You're in hypnosis. You don't even have to think about it. Your car kind of just moves there, right? Well, this is what he did emotionally. I'm not hurting anyone. They'll understand eventually. They love me. And love gets complicated. They know this, but you know what? Then he invited his needs. He goes, they're both my girls, so they know I'm not going anywhere. Human need number one, I'm giving them stability. We'll constantly have variety, but it's really, she's not in the mood one night, I'll have her, and then maybe they'll all join in. Okay, then you have human need number three. If they do this, and if I could have my cake and eat it too, they really value me. And number four, well, they love me. I'm getting connection. Number five, don't you see by living here, all of us together, that we're going to grow? And by doing this, we'll meet human need number six, contribution. This was the warped sense of thinking of how he compartmentalized his needs, his beliefs, and what he deserves. And see, this is where it becomes very eerie, because there's this blank slate. He does not see their emotions. You got me. It's not going to hurt you. It's a win-win. And you'll get to develop a kinship too. And we'll be one. It's almost like a cult if you think about it. It's almost like a cult leader, what he was putting together here in reference to, by meeting my needs, you're meeting your needs. And he's not joking. This was his emotional mindset that he really believed. And you see, this is what makes Marcus so dangerous, is that he doesn't see it. He won't. He really believes, and he will find, if it's not these two, his pain that he feels of neglect, of how dare you, how he lives his life is that getting even is by getting revenge, by showing you I can get others, that I can get others on board to join. And I might have to groom them at first, groom them in a way to start with one relationship, just like I did with Elena, and meet my Riley. And then eventually I'm going to find that we all will build together as one, and maybe even bring more. Because as you heard, now I think Riley came off a little bit like, I'm not dealing with this, but you heard Elena, I'm married for life. So I don't know what's going to happen long term, but he's going to find, and I don't want to say week, she fell in love. She thought this was the man I was going to marry. And I don't want to say naive, but she obviously came here with whatever he put in her head, and she came without Marcus. He didn't come in, and then she walks in and she sees Marcus and Riley in the office, and then he walks and sits next to her. So a little shady, a lot shady, yes, because you're seeing body language. And remember what I said, body language, 93% is body language, 7% is your words. So here he is showing already, not true to anyone but himself. When you said, well, why did you move over here? You came with her. Well, she's my wife, which now makes her an object that he could just throw away because I need to please this title. And then I can go back to that title. And this is that compartmentalization that I told you about. So these are the red flags you look for. Find out your worth. And again, maybe Elena's seen it and, I could change them. She said I would stick around. It's better than not having someone at all. Who knows what's going to happen there? I think that person needs to definitely re-identify herself, because it sounds like the behaviors have become so strong over the years that I'll do whatever it takes. And that could be a whole different subject, but we're focusing on what you need to look for when you have a narcissistic person, a fantasy person, and a person who puts you in a compartment. And every time I see something like this, it goes beyond relationship in reference to I'm just cheating or I'm my wife or this, that, or what. I feel the presence of a cult. So scary, 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 yes. Dangerous, dangerous, yes. So I hope this helped. And if you know anyone that's going through this there, try to help them. Reach out to me. Maybe even watch some shows that show how cults groom people for moments like this, because that is the feeling that I get when I connected with Marcus in this room. And it was really quite alarming, very scary. But if you do know someone, or if you have a story yourself and you'd like to share, you can go anonymous. You can, write an email and say, can you talk about this? But gregcoaching@gmail.com. I'd love to, break it down and utilize it for one of these stories. But until next time, thanks for tuning in. Please, once again, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And again, until next time, have a great day or evening wherever you are.